Appear to have sound. Maybe. Ask if they can hear you.
Woohoo! Perhaps I have no sound.
We have sound. Oh, we have sound. Okay.
Do we?
Yeah.
We have no lights.
We have no lights on our sound box, but okay, it works. That's cool.
Well, I don't trust it. Do we really have it?
It says, yeah, it says we got sound.
Hmm.
All right, we'll go with that.
Isn't technology great? Do we have sound?
We can hear you, yeah. It might be through the phone mic.
All right. We've had a breakdown in communication, folks. So, welcome to String Theory. I wanted to start the show with a set of tunes because this morning we lost one of the great teachers and players in Cape Breton. Winnie Chafe died today. And so I knew her very well. She was a grand lady of the fiddle. And you know, I'd really appreciate it if people would stop dying the day before, just before I do String Theory. Like, this is the second week in a row that somebody dies, like, right before we do the show. What is going on down there, anyway?
No idea.
Is there, is the button on over there?
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah. So I wish you guys would just cut it out. Stop it. I don't want any more dying for the show. God damn it. All right. Okay. So, there we go. That's for Winnie. Here's to Winnie Chafe and all the people she taught. Hundreds of them. Winnie Chafe. All right. I have no idea if you can hear me. I'm just going to assume that you can.
I can.
Time for a new box.
No, I don't think that's it.
So, anyhow, we're going to do the best we can with the technology falling apart on us here. So, yeah, first question.
It's from Ian Rossiter.
Ian Rossiter, how are you doing, buddy?
Says, I was asked for an example / explanation of how to play a slip jig. Would you mind going into that so I may repeat what I've heard and appear more photosynthesis?
Okay, so here, can you guys hear Megan? Tell us that. Because if you can hear her.
Yes.
Okay, so it's working. We just have no lights for some reason. Anywho, all right. Okay, so we're good. Slip jigs are the only reason they're called slip jigs is okay. So most jigs are written in 6/8. Like a common 6/8 jig, or a regular 6/8 jig is just. And you can hear the timing of it. And you kind of hear where the beginning and the end of measures are. Slip jigs are written in 9/8, so they sound. There's an extra tail on every section that makes you not quite sure where things end and begin. And I like they're a lot of them in E minor, and they're like. They're like that. They have a rolling pattern that doesn't seem to end where it should, and that's that extra 3 beats. And so that's what a slip jig is, and they're ancient. They're actually probably older form of a jig than our 6/8 jigs. They're mostly Irish. The Irish. It comes out of the Irish tradition almost 100%, 9/8 jigs. So now you can sound more photosynthesis to your friends.
Everyone can be photosynthesis.
Yes.
Next is from Alan Dalton.
Alan Dalton.
Says, I've been watching your life and music videos. What is the opening music and can it be purchased?
No, it cannot. The opening music is a piece of music that I wrote almost 25 years ago for a CBC television show called The Pit Pony, and I was commissioned to write it as the theme song for the show. I was even in the show once as an actor, and I was commissioned to write the title theme for the show, and there were a few other people that did it as well, and I didn't get the job. So that melody has sat in my vault since like 1996 or 7, something like that. So yeah, it's never been released, and it never will be. It's just it was perfect for Life and Music because I own it, and didn't want to get demonetized every time I put Life and Music up on YouTube. So yeah, that's what it is. It's the not Pit Pony theme. So thank you. And I should say something too. I got a nice email from Caper Away. You see him on there yet, Megan?
No, not yet.
Yeah, he might not be on there. He got a notice from YouTube that his membership was being paused for non-payment, but his credit card got stopped for security reasons. There was a security breach, and I just wanted to apologize to Caper Away because I bought this cane and this ring with this credit card, and sorry, buddy, I'll just.
Should have done it in like Mexico.
Yes,
That was a mistake.
Yeah, that was the mistake. So I will do it again. So. I hope you get her sorted. I don't know. You have to maybe rejoin or check your account status with YouTube. There must be some way to get in. So hope you don't get locked out, buddy. Love you. So okay, what's happening now?
I'm saying you should move your mic closer.
That's because the mics aren't on.
No, they can hear me better than you.
That's not possible.
That's what the people are saying.
Something's gone drastically wrong here. Can you hear me now? Is this louder? This is not good.
Heard the voice of the people.
Oh, yeah.
Next question is from your brother Joe.
Brother Joe.
Mm-hmm. What is your take on the wash tub bass?
It depends on who's playing it. The wash tub bass is actually a really valid instrument, but it has to be somebody that actually knows how to play one, and they are not easy to play. They're basically they're a wash tub with a stick and a string, and you change notes by shortening the string, by sliding your hand down the stick with the string in your hand against the stick. And buddy, it's tough. I've played one, and they're impossible. I've heard guys that can play them so well that you forget it's a wash tub bass. It actually sounds like an upright. It's incredible. So yeah, and there's different ways to build them, right? And different, there's different everything, technique of building these things, and it depends on what kind of tub it is, whether it's galvanized, like all these different weird things, right? But I've run into a lot of them over my lifetime, and they are definitely a valid instrument. And somebody who can play one well is a goddamn genius, as far as I'm concerned. Because I've had them in my hands a couple times, and it was not easy to get anything that resembled music out of it. So, next question.
We don't have any.
Well, fuck yous then.
It's just,
If you don't want to ask me questions, I'll just sit here and play the fiddle.
There's a bunch of.
I'll just sit here and play the fiddle. This system's not on.
No, I know.
Because the computer's gone to sleep.
It always does that. It goes to sleep either way.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Not if there's signal going through it. I've only been using it for 20 years.
Every week it goes to sleep. It's just the phone. I'll just move it closer.
If that never does it, I'd never get a recording done.
We have a question.
What is this doing in my face?
I moved it closer so they can hear you.
So the system's not working.
It's not because I went to sleep. Just trust me. We have a question.
Thank God for that.
Will our Yamaha tops continue to age tonally, or is the top you get the top you'll always have?
That's not true for any guitar. Tops, they don't put laminate tops on guitars normally. And even laminate wood ages. So any piece of spruce ages. It doesn't matter what it is. And it doesn't matter if it's torrefied, it doesn't matter what it is. So it will age, it will get louder, it'll get darker, all of those things. So yeah, there's no detriment to getting a top that's torrified or treated in any way, it's going to age, and it doesn't matter what guitar you get. Every guitar, even a guitar like this Yeri here that has a mahogany top, that top is still tone wood. It's going to age and change and get louder and stronger and all that stuff. So, yes, all good.
We have a super chat from Jeff Gallant.
Jeff Gallant.
Says, when are you going to grow your mullet back? Winter's
Never.
coming, you know.
Never. No more mullets for me. I'm too old and ugly for mullets.
Let's see here. Oh, KTM wants to know.
KTM.
Yeah, that's the name. Best acoustic for 500 pounds.
Well, I mean, for 500 pounds, so that's about $700, $800. I don't know. It's hard for me to say because I'm not in the UK, but all I can speak to is, guitars that you potentially have over there that I'm not real familiar with. I know Walden's a big name over there you can get for that kind of money, which if you get up into that range at $800 to $1,000 Canadian, they're going to be pretty good guitars, and like Yamahas, and any Yamaha, especially these red labels, and like any of the L series or red label guitars, like you can get an L6 probably for that much or less, or an L16 or an FS or FX3 red label, you can probably buy for that over there. The Yamahas are an easy choice for that kind of money. They're just incredible guitars. So yeah, and I don't know. There's a lot of builders over there that we don't have here, and also, of course, you're getting into the Alvarez too, like the bluegrass models of the Alvarez, like the 60 bluegrass model, which is only about 300 pounds, I think would be, or 300 or 400 pounds. Great dreadnought guitar, and they make other guitars in that price range. So Alvarez would be a very good choice as well. And like I said, there's a lot of companies I don't know about that are in the UK. So mainly, I'm finding that these days guitar companies are putting out really good guitars for no money. Like and another one is Recording King. Like Recording King is putting out guitars for 500 pounds that'll just knock your socks off. Like any of the Series 11 or like even the RO series, the 28 series, the RO 328 or the RD 328. There's an RD 318 coming out that I'm getting soon for review. These guitars are all under $1,000 Canadian, which would put them in your price range, right? And they're tremendous. They're tremendous guitars. If you can find Recording King over there, and I'm just speaking to what I know. I know I talk about these companies all the time, but that's what I know would be off the top of my head that would be available in the UK. And of course, Sigma is another company out of Germany that's built in China, AMI Music. They, I think, are still pretty prevalent in Europe and the UK. And there's a lot. I don't think you can really make a bad choice. It's at a certain point. If you're in that price range and stick to kind of well-known names, you're probably going to get a good guitar, regardless of what you spend. So, who's next?
Oh, well, that same person says they have a Yamaha FG730S.
Yes.
It's built like a tank and sounds great, but should they upgrade to a red label?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. The 730 is great, but they're a Chinese production guitar. So, the red labels are, well, the threes are Chinese, but they're not really built in that hard ass factory. They get a separate section going for the red labels in the factory. So the FX3s are factory, and then of course the 5s are built in Hamamatsu at the custom shop by the 24 luthiers over there. And so yeah, an upgrade is yeah. If you're a Yamaha fan and you like Yamaha, especially like the 730, which is a great guitar, it is built like a tank and sounds great. The red labels will just blow your mind because they sound and feel like a vintage guitar. But this first thing that I thought the first time I got mine, like I just sold my 3, but I kept my 5 because they're so rare and it's such a great guitar that I just couldn't turn it loose. There's no way I ever will. And the three you can find those easier. So I let that one go to a buddy of mine in Ottawa, who can't find one. They're getting very rare. They're hard to find because they're built in incredibly small batches to keep the quality high. And so yeah, if you wanna go up to a red label, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's perfect.
Next is Rob Richardson.
Rob Richardson, you know that name?
Do you prefer rigid thumb picks or flexible ones like the Fred Kelly speed pick?
I can't use Fred Kelly speed picks are not for me. They're too thin. I've always used rigid picks like Golden Gates, Dunlops, big heavy picks, but recently graduated down to this Herco style pick, which is what Chet Atkins used, and it's a more flexible. It's not floppy, but it's more flexible, and they don't break. The rigid picks break after a while. They break right here, right there.
Yep.
So wherever the hell that went,
Yeah, we'll find
God
out later.
knows. But as I was saying, yeah. I've recently started using those, and I can't stop because they got such a great tone. They got that same. I've been playing a lot of Jerry Reed style stuff, and he used the same thing. He used that Herco heavy flop kind of pick, right? And they just got great tone and great snap, and they sound more like flesh than a heart, like a Golden Gate or something like that I've used all my life. I've always used those, but I put that on my finger and I can't get rid of it. So yeah, the Fred Kellys and the speed picks and the picks that are part pick and part flat pick, I can't use those things. They're usually way too flimsy because I play hard. So if I hit it hard, it just twists off and falls off my thumb. That's useless. So yeah, that's my thumb pick take.
Mm-hmm. Up next is Tuckamore Dew.
Tuckamore Dew.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're drinking tonight? Tuckamore Dew?
Do some brands of 12-string guitars hold up better over time than others?
I don't. No, I don't think the 12 string part of that is part of the equation. 12-string guitars are the same as 6-string guitars because they're engineered for 12 strings, so they hold up as well as a 6-string, and that's going to come down to the maker. So any guitar, like it doesn't, like what I'm saying is, if you buy a Gibson 6-string, a Gibson 12-string, same year, they're going to be the same condition in 20 years. So it's the builder of the guitar in general, that's going to dictate whether or not the guitar lasts. Whether it's 6 or 12 strings, it doesn't matter. So you just got to pick the right company that you know has longevity. If you know somebody that has, a 30-year-old whatever, that's what you should probably pick if you're going to get a 12-string. Some 12-string guitars are, much better than others. My Boucher 12-string is the best 12-string guitar I've ever played in my life. It's absolutely supernatural. And it's not like any other 12-string I've ever seen or heard. And, of course, it's a Boucher, so it's going to last forever. It's an heirloom instrument. It'll be long, 60 years after I'm gone, somebody will still be playing that guitar probably. And so that's where the longevity of any guitar comes in, is from the builder. It doesn't matter how many strings is on it. So just choose wisely. Speaking of Tuckamore, dude, I happen to have some hoochie coo-coo in this thing right here.
What?
Highland Park. Okay, go.
What did you call it?
Hoochie coo-coo.
Hoochie coo. Okay. Okay. Jim Hanlon is next.
Jimmy James, Triple J, Jimmy James, Jim.
How much of that did you just drink?
Quite a bit.
So he says the Clarence White Martin has a seated saddle. I noticed the FG5 is loose. Will it provide better response, not that it needs it, if the saddle is fitted tighter on the bridge?
No saddle is supposed to be loose. So, the Clarence White doesn't have a saddle slot at all. It's called a bridge. It's called a through bridge saddle. I have to think about the guitar for a second. It's a problem because you can't replace that saddle without tearing the whole bridge out almost. And the Clarence White has a saddle that goes much further through the bridge than a normal saddle. There's no slot, like it's a huge long saddle inside the bridge. And the idea behind that, of course, is to create more vibration in the top, and it's glued in there. So a saddle in a normal guitar shouldn't be so tight you can't pull it out super easy. It should just fit down there perfect, and the radius of the saddle should keep it centered under the strings. It shouldn't be much. There shouldn't be any space really on either end of it, and it shouldn't be grippy. Like you shouldn't have to have pliers to pull it out of the slot. It should fit down there, just drop down in there, and not wobble. I can't see Yamaha putting anything out like that, but you might have a weird one. If there's something wrong with the seating of the saddle, it could just have been a simple mistake. They just made it a bit too thin and dropped it in there, and it's. But like I said, I have never seen a guitar like that, not in recent years, where the saddle is too thin and the slot is too big for it and it moves like this. They sometimes go back and forth, but like I said, the radius of the saddle keeps it in line and generally, and it shouldn't move in any direction. You know what I mean? It should just be snug, not tight. And like I said, the saddle on the Clarence, the D28 Martin Clarence White thing, that's a bitch, that thing, because you can't do any work to it. And it was very difficult to find a pickup system for it, and that's how I discovered K&K. Which reminds me, I should thank our partners, of course. I forgot because I was talking about we had a mechanical failure.
Yes.
And I still think we're having one.
You can hear us well enough.
Yeah. Not sure what's wrong with this. It's bugging me now. But anyhow.
I think it's because the phone went to sleep when it was plugged in.
It still should have worked though. But yeah, we'll get to those guys after. What's the next question?
Okay. Oh no, I'm not ready. Okay. Don't surprise me like that. Next is your buddy Agrigan Gork.
Agrigan Gork.
Is the left hand on claw hammer banjo the same premise as Scrug style? Lumbergimby.
Yes. It's exactly the same. There's no change in the left hand of the banjo. None. You might have to change a bit because you got to use different tunings. You don't have to use different tunings, but you do. But they're no different than the tunings you'd use with Scrug styles. You use the standard open G, and you use a drop C, and sometimes a sawmill tuning where you drop the D down to a C and the B up to a C. That's called sawmill, and that changes the left hand. So the style doesn't change the left hand. The tuning does. Whatever tuning you're in dictates what your left hand's going to have to do. Same as using open tunings on guitar. Same difference. Who's next?
Ryan Nelson.
Ryan Nelson.
In one of your live episodes, you mentioned that you had to start taking your singing more seriously. How did you improve your singing?
By singing my ass off. and sounding like shit for years until I didn't. Sort of. I still sound like shit, but I'm confident about my shit. So that's it. There's no secret. You just gotta sing your ass off. The voice is a muscle, so if you don't use the muscle, it never gets any stronger. And it takes a lot of musculature in the voice to create the corners and curves in notes and how to get from one to the other confidently. And you just can't do it overnight. It's not something you just do. Or learn to do. You just gotta sing, and you have to know when you suck. That's the problem with most people learning anything. They don't realize how bad they are until sometimes they never do, and that means they never learn anymore, and that sucks because you always have to second guess yourself, right? I do every single day. I don't ever trust myself that I'm going to sing in key or play right, or I'm always watching myself and listening to myself to make sure that was that in tune? Was that right? Did I do that thing? You can't stop checking yourself. So it's all part of the process. So yeah, that's how I did it. There was no one thing. I got lucky because I was working with, bands and people that were incredible singers. And I had to do harmonies and all those things because it was my job. So I had to learn it, and I wasn't told how to do it. They just threw me into the deep end of the pool and said, "There you go, buddy. Sing, find the part, or get the fuck off the stage." Right? That was about the long and the short of it. So, yeah, I found the part. I only got thrown off a couple times. Next.
Another super chat from Jeff.
Yes.
He wants a muscle flex.
Which one?
I guess it's up to you.
Just something we should do in a. There you go.
Give him the guitar player muscle.
Oh yeah, the guitar player muscle.
That's a good one.
That's it. That's an impressive one right there. That's my picking muscle. Looks like a hard-boiled egg under there. See that?
Hey, there we go. Success.
There you go.
Alright, Derek Moser's next.
Derek Moser. That's a good South Shore name.
JP, what gauge string would you suggest for a 12-string, and what tuning are you comfortable with?
Well, I used to use mediums, but again, I switched everything to lights. So you want just straight lights. I don't like these mixtures of medium light and all this shit. Just use light gauge strings. Buy elixirs, phosphorons if you can, light gauge 12 strings, and I tune my 12 strings down a half a step because I think they sound better that way. And every great 12 string player that I ever met, guys like Janelle and Cameron and even Gordon Lightfoot and these guys, they always tune their 12 strings 1 fret low. So instead of from E to E, it's E flat to E flat. They go 1 fret low and tune it 1 fret low. So that standard tuning is with a capo on the 1st fret. And that's my preference. I think that sounds better. And there's often times as well that I tune the 12 string 2 frets low. So that my A chord is a G chord in standard. And I do that because that's where Leadbelly tuned his guitar. Leadbelly, and of course in those days, the reason that was done, because if you tuned a 12 string in those days with these heavy Stella and Black Diamond strings, if you tune a 12 string to standard, you'd rip the fucking bridge right off the top of the guitar within 10 minutes. So they didn't do that. They didn't use standard tuning, and Leadbelly was the first guy to kind of like was tired of just destroying his guitars. He had an old Stella, and he had played a Framus as well, and he tuned his guitar, down to A, like his not to A, to his A chord would have been a G in standard. So that's how he tuned it. So instead of the top string being an E, it would have been D. That's D to D. That's 2 frets low, and it sounds great. And the 12 string sounds wicked down there. Like it's designed for that, and it'll take that without any problem, even with light gauge strings. I find so. Yeah, have fun, experiment, do what feels good, right, and to your left hand and to your ears. So, next question.
Bruce Fiander.
Fiander.
Fiander. I keep saying that wrong.
I think it must. That's how they pronounce it down in Geisberg County.
Maybe
The great guitar player down there, Fiander. Anyhow, yeah.
Anywho, Bruce.
Bruce.
Have you ever owned or played a Lakewood acoustic guitar? If so, what is your opinion?
I've owned many Lakewood guitars, and which brings me to my buddy Glenn at G&G Music down in Agonish, one of our top ace partners, been here since the very beginning. And he is the #1 Lakewood dealer in all of North America. And I'm proud to say that he and I actually did the beginning of that together. He called me one day on the road 20 years ago and said, "You've got to come down and see these guitars from Germany." I bought a dealership out of Vancouver for my shop. And in the dealership, there was a contract with this company called Lakewood, and I got these guitars here, and you've got to come see them. So I went down there and played one, and it blew me away. And so I started a relationship with Lakewood, and I played them for several years, and they built me several custom-made guitars, and we designed one that the M32, I think it is, that has big abalone maple leaves on the fretboard. We ordered the first one of those ever built, and to this day they still build them. And that's Matt Anderson's guitar of choice. Is the M32 that we designed in a jumbo cutaway format, and it's a great guitar. Matter of fact, I should do some Lakewood reviews on the channel because they are tremendously good instruments, and they're like all these other guitars that I review here, whether it be the Yamahas or Bouchers or Yeri or any of these things. All of these guitars are unique. They don't sound like each other at all, and I have a specific taste for each one of them. I love each one of them, and I use them, all the time. Like this stand isn't just here for cosmetics. This is the first Boucher I ever bought, and it's always in the stand, or a Boucher of some kind is always in the stand in the room, and because I play them all the time. And since I started to get these gorgeous artifacts out of the shop in Kani, Japan, the Alvarez Yeris, they're out all the time too, right? And they're different. They're all different. They all have incredible qualities and are a joy to play for different reasons. And the Lakewood is just like that. And Glenn has the best selection of Lakewoods in North America. He still sells, well, he's the #1 Boucher dealer in the world. He sells a stupid amount of Boucher guitars and still sells a stupid amount of Lakewoods. It's ridiculous how many guitars that man sells. And so yeah, if you want that, I can only describe Lakewood as a European sounding company because they have a very unique tonal pattern out of Europe. Lakewood, Firk. We're about to get involved with a company, if we're not already, called Dovina out of Slovakia, which is making some huge waves in the acoustic world. They're a shop just like Robin's, run by a father and daughter, and they only build about 400 or 500 guitars a year, just like Robin. And they have that weird European thing. There's a different palette of tone that they get in Europe by design. The same as the Japanese builders, when they're not building for the West, they build their guitars a certain way that fits the Japanese consumer and the type of music they like to play on acoustics. And so, yeah, Lakewood is absolutely one of the world's finest handmade guitars. It's right up there with any of those great companies, you know, Furk and Dovina and Loudon and a few others that I'm affiliated with. And well, we can't say much right now because part of the thing that we're doing is
Don't say any more words.
they can't say anything. So, anyhow, next question.
We have a super chat from J-Lo.
J-Lo's back.
Can you comment on all things hex versus round core strings? I realize elixirs are hex and you play them for longevity, but what about sound?
I wasn't aware that there was a difference in the cores, so there you go. That's how stupid I am. Actually, you know what? I may have been aware, but I don't pay attention because none of it means shit. Because it doesn't matter what the core is. If the string's not coated properly, it's gonna, for me, it's gonna die in about 20 minutes. So the sound of elixirs, in my opinion, they're the best sounding string on the market, and they stay sounding that good until you take them off. Whether that be one show or 6 shows, they sound the same after 6 shows as they do on the first show. And that is worth, there's no money that you could pay me for that, to have that kind of quality on the guitar, because that's the biggest problem with any string maker, is that they just don't last. Like, you can say that perhaps GHS or another one of my favorite strings, which is John Pierce, a great company in the States. Like, they're friggin' brilliant strings, but they just don't last. And it's not their fault. It's mine. I have a super high pH in my sweat, and I literally corrode metal as soon as I touch it. And there's so much nickel in strings that everything just turns green and black, and all of a sudden the strings are dead, just as a hammer in about 20 minutes. So yeah, it's like strings for me, there is no other string. I've tried other coated strings as well. I've tried just about everything that's out there, everything. Because I've been to trade shows and I've gone around to different companies, and they've given me free samples, and I've tried everything under the sun, and there's just no string that, to me, that sounds as good as Elixir, or sounds as good for as long as Elixirs. They're the best strings I've ever used. So, and they don't break. I haven't broken one yet. Matter of fact, I haven't really broken a string in my entire career, to be honest with you. I don't think I've ever broken a string on stage ever in 39 years. So that's saying something. Don't believe it's ever happened. Not to my knowledge, not that I can remember. So.
Well, up next is Dennis Gagne.
Dennis Gagne.
Have you ever played all mahogany guitars like the Martin 0015M? If so, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know about the Martins, because I'm not a huge fan of Martins, especially that type of guitar, because they're not really that well built. But here's an all mahogany guitar for you right here. Not only is it all mahogany, it's all Honduran mahogany. This is from the Yeri shop in Kane, Japan. Top, back, and sides. 50-year-old Honduran mahogany, bought in 1970 by Kazuo Yeri. And this guitar is absolutely ridiculous. I can't get over this guitar. It's friggin' brilliant. And there'll be a review on this very shortly on Guitar Stuff with John. And this is the FYM 66 Honduran. And I'm telling you what, it's one of the nicest guitars I've ever had in my hands. And so all mahogany guitar, mahogany in my opinion is the king of the tone woods. And if you get a guitar that's built out of all mahogany, you're talking about something really special. The reason I'm not a big fan of Martins is because they all the ones that I've ever seen, they build them with satin or matte finishes and they don't last. And they don't sound like that. There's just no way. So, and plus, I mean, there's lots of other makers that do all mahogany instruments, I think, better than Martin. So, I would look around before I spent money on a Martin. They're a bit overpriced, in my opinion, for what they do. So, you could buy that for, you know, the same or less than a Martin, easily. So, good luck with that. It's a great road to go down. All mahogany guitars are amazing. So there you go. Who's next?
We got a super chat from Jeff Hawthorne.
Jeff Hawthorne
Says, I hope you can review Eastman. I got an E10D and an E20D, and they're amazing. Thanks for what you do.
I want the E40D. That's one of my dream guitars. And Guillaume, there's an interesting thing here. I may have mentioned this before, but there's a very, very close business relationship between Eastman and Boucher. They buy a great deal of wood from Robin, because Robin has some of the best top and tone woods in the world right now. And he was the first person to ever torify Adirondack, was Robin. And so they buy a great deal of wood. Now they've started to buy Boucher guitars from Robin. They've actually signed a contract to buy like a certain percentage of his entire production each year to sell in Asia, because he's getting so popular over there. So we are working on a reciprocal deal. We're trying to, Guillaume, who represents Boucher here for the world, is trying to get a deal together to help me promote Eastman here, because I absolutely friggin' love their mandolins. I have two of them. I love Eastman mandolins. And I love their guitars. They're very different guitars. Like I said, the Asian builders, when they're building these masterpieces, they're just not like our guitars in the West. And the E40D is a gorgeous guitar. It's designed after like a D41, pre-war D41, if there was such a thing. I don't know if there was anything before like that before 45, but anyhow, from that era with the torch on the headstock and the abalone around the body, and they're usually sunburst, and they're this beautiful, warm, fat, vintage sounding guitar that doesn't have a ton of volume or projection. It just has this great little bubble of sound, right? Like an old guitar. And I love them. They're incredible instruments. I've played a couple of them, and sadly, I've seen them a lot in high-end shops, and they sit there for a long time because people pull them down and go, well, this isn't melting my face, so I don't want it. I'll buy the Martin, or I'll buy the Boucher, or I'll buy the whatever. They're not stopping long enough to play the guitar and go, okay, what does this really sound like? How will this sound in front of a mic? What is it going to sound like with a K&K pickup in it, perhaps, right? Or that sort of thing. So I think I would love to promote their guitars, because they're very, very different. Again, they're not like anything in this room. And that particular one, the ones that you have, I love those, but the 40, it's a good guitar. It's a really good guitar. I really hope that Eastman will work with us and send us something, because I would love to review their instruments. They're really great people, and They're making tremendous instruments for a number of decades, starting out with cellos, and their arch-top jazz guitars are among the best in the world, and they're well known for that. And of course, anything with a carved top and back, right? That's why their mandolins are so awesome. That's what they do. That's what they do the best is carving, right? And it's incredible. They're a great company. So keep a hold of those things. I wouldn't part with them for nothing. Who's next?
We got a super chat from Joshua McGrath.
Joshua McGrath.
Any more word on pre-war guitar company? Love to see you review one. P.S. Got myself a Boucher OM because of you, and it's the best damn box I've ever played, let alone owned.
Sweet. I reached out to pre-war and they told me to go fuck up a rope. That's what they told me. And so...
Not exactly.
Pretty much what they said. No, what they actually said was, go piss up a rope. What they said. No, actually,
Again,
they just said, shut up and get out of our face. No. They said, shut up and get out of our face. I did. I reached out to them and they were like, yeah, like, we're going to send you a guitar. Right. So, yeah.
Oh, they did.
Don't look for that to happen.
The attitude was not like that.
It was kind of. It was a little bit like that. And that's fine because their guitars are worth a fortune. I don't even know.
Are they the ones that don't make enough each year to make it? Is that them? Or is it somebody else?
I don't know, but I just they came back to me with sort of like, you know, we can't give guitars to anybody, and we're not interested in being reviewed. We don't need review kind of idea. So they were nice about it. They were nice, but they were also quite, you know, don't be so goddamn foolish. We're gonna give you a guitar, yeah, right. So, and rightfully so. Their guitars are worth like $10,000. They want for these distressed instruments, right? Sometimes more. Which is a little bit strange. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I mean, I could take any guitar in this room, beat on it with a fucking hammer for 3 days, and it's not going to make it worth $10,000, but that's what they're doing. So, good luck with that, boys. Anyhow.
Precision beating on it with a hammer.
Yes. Precision, yes. Calibrated destruction, yes. One more question. What do we got? Calibrated destruction. Yeah.
Mics versus pickups. I'm assuming they meet on stage with the guitar.
And there's a question there?
Well, that's all it says. Mic versus pickup.
There is no versus.
Well, there is.
There's no versus.
It's not a fair fight.
No, it's not a fair fight. There's no comparison. I would never use a microphone on stage anymore. It's completely pointless. It's for every bit of tone or whatever you might think or actually get from using a microphone on stage, you sacrifice in volume and monitor volume and all of these things. Like, it's so pointless trying to use microphones on guitars. Bluegrassers get away with it because everybody on the stage is going through a microphone, and there's a great deal of companies right now that make great mics designed for that, like Ear Trumpet Labs. They make fantastic on-stage microphone for guitars and everything. But it's just so much better to just be able to plug my guitar in with the K&K pickup in it, plug it in the amp, and it sounds like my guitar. And there's no feedback, and it can be so loud it will tear the pantaloons off of everyone in the front row. Everyone just be sitting there buck-ass naked after the first number because my guitar is so loud. I can't do that with a microphone. Not that I really want to do any of that, but it still happens. Oh, sorry. Did I say pantaloons?
You did say pantaloons. And I was trying to remember the name of those, like, undergarments that go under pantaloons. Bloomers, yes.
Just tear the bloomers off the whole front row. That's what I was really trying to say. Couldn't think of it either.
Jeff Gallant says Calibrated Destruction should be the name of your and Dave's next tour.
Yes, it probably will be. Let's have one more question. We're going to do the trivia.
Oh, wasn't ready. Keeps doing this to me. Oh, here's a quick one. Eli Patrick Bluegrass.
Oh, that's new.
Nope, it's not.
It's not?
No.
Okay, Eli.
I saw a video of you with Jerry Sullivan on Heart to Heart. The only indication of the guitar brand was a letter C on the head. What kind was it?
It was a Mansfield Custom. It's a rare guitar. They were a Chinese company in the 70s and 80s. And I hated the fact that it wasn't a Martin, even though it sounded like one. It was a beautiful guitar. It had a Tree of Life on it. And I had cut the sound hole out of it. So I painted over the whole headstock except for the C. It said Mansfield and Custom down the middle. So I painted over everything but the C. So it would just be the initial of my last name. But I don't know what that guitar is worth. I sold it to a close friend of mine who's a collector. That instrument traveled all over the world with me and was signed by Chet Atkins. And one of my good buddies has it, and he bought it from me, and he loves it. It still plays like a dream. And it actually even had the very first LR Bags under saddle pickup system ever designed is in that guitar. Installed in Nashville in '92, I think. Yeah, it's a giant piece of bone glued to a giant piece of brass. Is what took the place of the saddle, and it's still in the guitar. It still works like a charm. Sounds fantastic, and yeah, it's quite a story behind that guitar. So, speaking of guitars, our trivia question tonight is going to give us a few prizes here. Of course, from our best friend in the world, Glenn Gotel. G&G Music and Antigonish has been with us from the very beginning. And our friend Stephen McNeil, not the premier, at Fantasy Music in Spring Garden Road, Halifax, who's just ripping up a storm these days with all sorts of things. Also with Boucher Dealer, Yamaha, Recording King. He's starting to delve into some vintage and used gear now. It's really cool. He's getting good stuff in. And I want to also thank another one of our major sponsors, Levy Straps. This is a Levy strap. I've got so many Levy straps. I think I probably own about 50 of these. And I buy them every year because the designs are incredible. You know, they just make great designs. And they're making our string theory straps for us. And they're a great company right here in Nova Scotia. And I love them dearly. And I've used their product my entire career just about. I think I started using them when they first started. I was using Levy's. So a big thanks to them. And our guitar partners, Boucher, Recording King, Yamaha. Thank you so much, Yamaha Canada. St. Louis Music and Alvarez Yerry. Chris Meikle, thank you, Chris. Gallagher Guitars of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Am I forgetting anybody? I probably am, but I always seem to forget somebody.
Yamaha?
But, I got Yamaha. And so the prizes tonight, of course, from G&G. If you win this, there'll be two winners. If you get the G&G package, you're going to get your strap, String Theory strap from Levy's, free, and a tuner. $25 off of any Recording King guitar in the store, and $200 off of any Boucher in the store. And for Fantasy, if you win that, if we give you that one for the prize, you'll get a $25 gift certificate off anything in the store, and a Yamaha, really nice, they're gorgeous, Red Label t-shirt for the new Red Label guitars. And I believe that Fantasy is still having a no HST sale in the store on certain items. So it's a great place to go in Halifax. And if you're traveling or you want something specific and you want it shipped, you know, Glenn can ship it. Steven ships places anywhere in the world you want. And the question tonight is cool. I've mentioned this guy multiple times in the last, I don't know, been a couple of 3 months. We have a guitar on its way here from Ireland. from a tremendous luthier in Ireland. And I want you to tell me what the name of that company is. What is the name of the Irish guitar company that's currently building a guitar that's on its way here for review? They're tremendously nice folks. And we're so excited. We're hoping to have it before Christmas if it's possible. What's the name of the company I've mentioned?
We got two.
Okay, already?
Yeah, the first one is Eli Patrick Bluegrass.
Just a second. Okay. What's the answer?
James Martin.
James Martin Guitars. Yep, that's right. And who's number two?
Jim Hanlon.
Jimmy. Did he? He's already won though, but I will put him in.
Did he?
I think he has, hasn't he? No.
I don't think so.
Jim Hanlon. Okay. So, Jim, Eli Patrick Bluegrass, send me an email right now to jpcormier38@gmail.com. jpcormier38@gmail.com.
You said he has one. Does it matter?
What?
He has one. He has one. Jim
Who?
Hanlon.
Oh, okay.
Who's after?
Okay, Jim, we're going to give it to somebody who hasn't won. Anyhow, let me finish this. Eli, jpcormier38@gmail.com. Send an email to me right now. I'll pass you on. You've won the fantasy package, which is the $25 gift certificate, the Red Label T-shirt, and our second winner who gets the G&G package. Who's that?
Jay Gallant.
Jay Gallant.
I don't think they've won yet. I don't know. It's hard to keep track.
Okay, that doesn't sound familiar. Okay, so Jay Gallant, you've won the G&G package. Send me an email right now. jpcormier38@gmail.com.
Oh, do you want to talk about the amp?
I'm getting to that. jpcormier38@gmail.com, and we will forward you on to G&G, and you will get the your strap tuner, $25 off of any Recording King before Christmas now, and $200 off of any Boucher, and the fantasy winner, which is our Eli Patrick Bluegrass. You're going into the draw that's going to be for the new Yamaha THR 30 Mark II acoustic. I can't wait to get this thing. It's on its way to me. It's a new desktop amp that Yamaha makes, especially for acoustic guitars, and it's incredible. It does so many things. It's just like a little workstation you can put in your studio or in your room or wherever, and it's a tremendous piece of gear. So I'm waiting to get that. You're going to go into the draw for this thing. We're going to take the winners from last week, who was Jeff Gallant, and this week will be you. And however many more string theories we can get in before Christmas, we put you in the draw. You have a chance to win that amplifier from Yamaha. It's like a $900 amp. It's really cool, and Yamaha is really super cool for doing that for us. They're providing it for us to give away. And so yeah, I'm going to be doing a review on it. It'll probably be here on the table at some point during maybe next week. It was shipped several days ago, so we're hoping to be here soon. And there you go. There's another string theory. We're 5 minutes over. You didn't have any sound. What the hell? I don't care. So we love you, and we look forward to this every week. And next week we'll make sure that all of the microphones and things work before we start doing shit on here. So there you go. String theory. Guitar players, don't forget, whoever has the most many dies wins. See you next week.